Parameters and arguments plays a very key role whenever we are defining a function or whenever we are calling a function. So what is the difference between parameters and arguments? Let us discuss this, and after that we will discuss the different kind of parameters functions that we have in Python. So having knowing this kind of a function will really help you in order to code better. So having said that, watch the video till the end so that you can able to understand very clearly all these concepts explained in this video. So let's get started. So welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. First, we will understand what are arguments and what are parameters. So whenever we are defining a function, listen carefully. Whenever we are defining a function, the parameters, the mentioning parameter that we have, which are considered as parameters, and whenever we are calling a function, the parameters that we are passing, we call it as arguments. So I will explain with an example. Let's say I am taking a function which is wish here. This is what we have previously used, right? So in this wish, let's say I will take name here. So when we define something, let's say we have something in this, so when we define in this function, let's say name here, this is considered as parameter. So after that, when we wanted to call this, when we pass let's say name here, and this is considered as argument. So when we are defining a function, the inside of this parenthesis, this is called parameter, and when we are calling function, this is considered as argument. So people interchangeably use parameters and arguments. Don't worry about that. Whatever that they mention, all of these referred same things, either defining a function or either calling in a function. So that is a key aspect that we wanted to know. Internally, this is considered as parameters and this is considered as arguments. So I hope you can able to understand the difference between parameter and argument. Parameters are considered whenever we are defining the function. Arguments are considered whenever we are calling the function. I hope you have found the difference between parameters and arguments. So let us go ahead and see some of the parametric functions that we have in Python. So we have different parametric functions. One is positional parameters, keyword parameters, and default parameters. People also call this as positional arguments, keyword arguments, and default arguments. So all of those things refer to the same thing, which is nothing but these functions. So let us go ahead and understand one after the other and how we can use this positional, keyword, and default parameters. So first start with positional parameters. So whenever we are defining a function, let's first define a function. So in this function I am mentioning, so I am taking a function which is nothing but info. So what I wanted to do in this function is that I wanted to print the name and age of a person. So very simple, name and age of a person. So I don't want to make this complicated. I wanted to make this as simpler as possible. So I am taking a info function. Instead of this particular function, I am taking two parameters here. One is name and another one is age here. So these are considered as positional parameters. So when I say positional parameters, the position is very important. So that is very important. We will understand when we are calling the function. So in this, I will just print, let's say name is Mahesh, name is name. So I am mentioning the name is name and age is age here. So I wanted to take it as a f string. Because of that reason, I am mentioning name is name and age is age. So I hope you can able to understand this f string, and I hope you can able to understand what we are doing in the function here. So I am executing this. This is got executed. You can see here. So after that, if I call this info, so how we are calling this info? So we need to pass two things. One is name and another one is age. When we pass those two things only, we can able to get the name and age in this print statement. So in order to do that, we are considering it as a positional argument. So in positional parameters, two things are very important. One is number of parameters that we have, and another one is order of the parameters. Order of the parameters very important. Number of parameters also very important. Let's say we have name and age, right? So let's say if I pass Mahesh, So if I pass Mahesh and the age that I will be passing, let's say 22 here, and if I execute this, we are getting name is Mahesh and age is 22. So why we are getting the exact desired result is because we know the number of parameters to one is name, and for name we are passing name here, for age we are passing age here. Because of that reason we are getting exact result. So now let's say if I remove this, and I am assuming that this info method only takes one argument. Because of that reason I am passing only one argument, and that is Mahesh, and I am considering it as name. And if I execute this, so it was giving an error, info missing one required positional argument, which is age here. So what it is telling is that you need to pass one more argument, which is nothing but age. So that is you are missing. Because of that reason we are getting this error. So I hope you can able to understand the number of parameters is very important. So how many number of parameters that we have in the function definition, we need to pass those many number of parameters. So I hope you can able to understand that. Let's say that is a one case here. So after that, one more thing that we need to understand is that the number of parameters done, right? So we need to understand one more thing, which is nothing but order of parameters, in how whichever the order that we are passing the parameters to the function. Let's say I will take 22 here, and here I will take Mahesh here. So I am taking reversely, right? So I am assuming that first we have the age, and after that we have name. Because of that assumption, I am calling this function by first we have first using age, and after using Mahesh, which is nothing but name here. And if I execute this, so we are getting the result, name is 22 and age is Mahesh. So this is not quite expected result, right? So we can expect Mahesh in this place and name in this Mahesh in this place and age 22 in this place. But why we are getting in this kind of a result is because the order that we are passing is not exactly same as the order that we are defined in this function. So because of that reason we are getting this kind of a error. So this kind of a misleading result, right? This is kind of a misleading result. For name is 22 and age is Mahesh. That is not quite expected, right? Because of that reason we are getting this kind of a result. So I hope you can able to understand, when we are having this positional parameters, two things very important. One is number of parameters and another one is order of parameters. We need to pass the exact order, then only we can expect the exact desired result. So let's say you, in order to get that, you need to know number of parameters and order of parameters. So let's say you know number of parameters and you don't know the order of parameters, but you know what are the parameters that you wanted to pass. You wanted to pass name and you wanted to pass age. In such case, here comes a picture of keyword parameters. You can mention the keywords as a parameters when you are calling the function. So how that works, let us see here. So I am taking same info here. I know the exact parameters that we wanted to pass. So I know first we need to let's say I am passing age here. So after that I am passing name here. So I am passing name here, and if I execute this, we can able to get the exact result. Name is Mahesh, age is 22. Why we are getting this? Though we have passed reversely, first we have passed age, right? So after we have passed name, but still we are getting the exact result. The reason is because we are using these keywords. So name is exactly mapped with the name of this function. This age will exactly mapped with the name of this parameter of this function. So because of that reason, we are getting the exact desired result here. So in this keyword parameters also, we need to know how many number of parameters that we have, and it is okay if we don't know about the order of parameters, but we need to know what are the parameters that we wanted to pass. Let's say if I don't know parameter of name here, let's say if I just pass n here, and if I execute this, we are getting an error. Info got unexpected keyword argument, which is n here. So we are calling this function using this n, and this n is not present in this function definition. We have name. Because of that reason we are getting this error. So why I am telling this is because you need to know exact parameters that you wanted to pass. Here you need to know you have age in the definition, and you have name in the definition. Then only you can mention the exact keywords, then only you can get the exact result. So that is one of the things that you wanted to know. So here you wanted to remember two things. One is you need to mention exactly how many number of parameters that you wanted to pass. Let's say if I remove this name here and if I just simply pass only age here, if I execute this, we are getting missing one required positional argument, which is nothing but name here. So because why we are getting is this, because we are passing the argument which is age, and in the function definition we have age, that is fine, but we are also having name, right? So we need to pass name also, then only we can able to get the result. That is the reason we are getting this error. So I hope you can able to understand, we need to pass how many number of arguments that we have in the function while calling the function. So after that, it is okay if you don't know the order. So even if you interchange the order, it is fine, but you need to mention the keywords. So whatever the parameter names that you have in the definition of the function, you need to pass exactly those parameters, then only you can get the exact result. So I hope this makes you clear understanding about positional arguments and keyword arguments. So let's say what I wanted to explain one more thing here. First, in order to understand this default parameters, we need to change a little bit about the definition of the function. So when we are using these positional parameters and keyword parameters, we are not changing the definition. Rather, we are only changing the call, right? So the call that what we are using in order to get this function done, we are changing the calling, right? So we are changing the parameters arguments interchangingly, and we are mentioning the arguments names, right? So but when we wanted to use this default parameters, we need to change the function definition itself. So how it works, let us go ahead and understand. So I'm taking this and I'm pasting here. So now how this default parameter works is that, so we will be mentioning some default values for these parameters, and if the when we are calling this function, if you pass any parameters, that will be replaced with the default parameters, and if you don't pass any parameters, the default parameters will be taken. So I hope that makes little confusing, right? Let us go ahead and understand clearly. So I am taking name here. So in this name, I will be taking the default name as Mahesh. Let's say I will take default name as Mahesh and the default age as 22 here. So I am taking 22 and I am executing this. This is got executed. So here, whenever I am calling this function, even if I mention simply this parenthesis without mentioning the argument that we have. So we have two parameters, right? So I'm not mentioning any arguments here, and if I execute this, still we can able to get the result. Name is Mahesh, age is 22. How we are getting this is because in this we are having the name and the default value for this is Mahesh, and the default value for age is 22. Because of that reason, we are getting name is Mahesh and age is 22. That is not the case with the previous examples, right? So when we don't pass even one arguments, it will raise a error. So that is not the case with this default parameters, because by default we will be assigning some parameters. So that's how it works. Let's say if I pass, let's say for name, I wanted to pass Suresh here. I wanted to pass Suresh, and if I execute this, so this name is replaced with Suresh, right? Previously we are getting the name as Mahesh, so for now we are getting the name as Suresh. The reason is because we are passing one of the argument which is Suresh, which is mapped with name, and because of that reason we are getting Suresh here. So I hope you can able to understand how this works. So if you pass any value while calling the function, it will be replaced, and if you don't mention any value while calling the function, the default value will be taken. So I hope you can able to understand, right? So here also we are having default value which is 22. Let's say if I mention as 33 here, and if I execute this, this is also got changed because we are passing some value whenever we are calling the function, right? Because of that reason, this existing default value will be overridden with the new value that whatever we are passing. So I hope you can able to understand. So this is how we will be mentioning these default parameters. Let's say if you mention this 33 only, And if I execute this here, understand carefully, we are only having 33 here, and if I execute this, we are getting name is 33 and age is 22. So this is how it works. So whenever you are passing these parameters without mentioning the keywords, it will be acts as a positional parameters, which means this argument you are passing will be mapped with name, which is the first parameter, right? Because of that reason, that will be the first parameter will be replaced with 33. Because of that reason, you are getting this result. So in order to mention, hey, this is not about name, rather it is about age, in such case you will be mentioning this age here. So this is how the keyword parameters works, right? So you need to mention the age, telling that this is mentioning for age, and if I execute this, you can able to get name is Mahesh, that is a default value, and the age is only got replaced with 33. So I hope you can able to understand that. So this is how we can call with whatever and how many parameters that we wanted. So if you wanted to call this only with name, we can use simply without mentioning anything as previously, right? So we can simply mention Suresh, or if I wanted to specifically mention this parameter is only works for name, we can mention the keyword which is name here. So that is also fine. So this is how it works. And apart from that, I wanted to explain one more thing here. So we are mentioning the two default parameters, right? So let's say if I remove one default parameter and I am having the default parameter for name and I don't have any default parameter for age, and understand carefully, and if I execute this, it is getting non-default arguments follow default arguments, which means this default parameters, right? This default parameters always comes at the end. So that is what it is telling. This age comes should first. So I am taking this age and I need to mention this age at the beginning, because the non-default parameters, this is non-default, right? So because of that reason, it needs to comes first, and after that only at the end only we can have this default parameters. That is what it is telling. And if I execute this, you can see the result. We are not getting anything, which means this function definition works fine. So let's say if I pass 33 here and if I execute this, you can see in the result we are getting 33, which is replaced for this age, and for name we are getting the name which is default value, which is nothing but Mahesh here. So I hope this explanation makes you understand clearly about this default parameters and all the different kind of parametric methods function that we have in Python. So I hope you can able to understand the difference between parameters and arguments, and we have discussed three parametric functions, which is positional parameters, keyword parameters, and default parameters. So I hope you can able to understand clearly. If you got any confusion, I sincerely suggest you to watch the video once again carefully so that you can able to understand carefully. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we will be discussing some more parameters that we have in Python. So having said that, thank you for watching this video. If you found this video interesting, hit the like button and comment whatever you think about this video in the comment section. So to stay updated with my latest videos, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all, so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. Once again, thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.